right, good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Tyler, and I'm one of the event coordinators here at LCS. And I'm very excited to introduce Day 3 of Career Month to you. As many of you already know, the Laurier Computing Society is dedicated to delivering events and development projects to all computer science students to help you build the skills to succeed in both school and after graduating. Now, the events team has been working hard to plan an amazing career month for you all, and we'll close off the last day of career month on Friday during our large networking event. So make sure you keep up with the LCS Instagram for updates and event details. Now, if you haven't already, please sign in using the QR code shown on screen. And I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. All right. And anyways, tonight we have a special guest joining us. Now, Ross is one of the top speakers in the career management speaker circuit and a LinkedIn expert. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Ross to introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Ross McPherson. I run a company called Career Quest, and I've been specializing in helping people move their careers forward and how to market themselves in their careers for about 20 years now. I've spoken at universities all over North America, as far away as Hong Kong. I've spoken at MIT, Wharton, Stanford, University of Toronto, obviously Laurier now. This is what I do. And LinkedIn is one of the things that I actually love speaking on, because this is an opportunity for you to market yourself in your career in ways that your resume simply can't. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so can you see that? Okay, so I'm going to be talking about building dynamic LinkedIn profiles. And this is the reality. You have to recognize that
sorry,
in the world of
Ross, sorry, you're not sharing your screen, the slides.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, hang on a second. I thought it came up.
Yeah, no worries.
Now we got it. Fair enough?
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. A couple little bugs. It happens all the time. So here's the reality. When it comes to your LinkedIn, it actually becomes, and you've probably been hearing similar things if this has been sort of a career month for you, or a whole series of career things. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make, whether it's in LinkedIn or anywhere in trying to find that great job, whether it's a co-op job, whether it's an internship, whether it's a job once you graduate. One of the mistakes people make is they just sort of put stuff down on paper, whether it's in LinkedIn or stuff in there or in resume or in their LinkedIn, and they just hope that people call them. And the reality is, you can put down your degree, you can put down some of your co-ops or internships, you can put down some of your skills, but you've got to recognize that there's probably thousands of others graduating from similar programs with similar skills, similar degrees, and similar kind of experience or co-ops or internships. So the reality is, you think, here, I'm giving them everything that I need to give. The reality is, on their end, that's how well you stand out. You look like everybody else, and you have to assume there's a lot of other people there that look out there that look like me. What I want to do is walk you through, at least on LinkedIn, how can you stand out among your toughest competition? How can you stand out among other similar, graduates of similar programs so that you get the call, you stand out from everybody else? And it's a mistake. Honestly, I deal with people all the way up to senior executive, and they make the same mistakes too. If you're the VP of marketing, they just sort of put stuff down. And what they don't realize is there's 500 other VPs of marketing out there with similar resumes that look identical, similar LinkedIn profiles that look identical. So you've got to find a way to stand out. And that's what I want to walk you through here. It's not just high level, here are some of the sections on LinkedIn to complete. What I want to walk you through is, how do you complete them? What belongs in there? What's going to make the difference? What's going to make you stand out? So I'm going to cover a lot of ground in the short time we've got, okay? So here's the reality. The reality is, when it comes to your career, or professionally speaking, if you want to think of it that way, LinkedIn is where you're going to get the biggest return on your investment in terms of your brand online. So in terms of who you are professionally on the internet, online, LinkedIn is probably your #1 ROI. So it really does serve you well to put something really spectacular together there. It's not, and I repeat, not just a carbon copy, a cut and paste of your resume that you plunk online. There is one section, one area where I'm okay if you do some cutting and pasting, and I'll show you where. But the rest of it, I know I'm asking you to do more work, but I'm going to insist that you actually create the other things, the other content, the other sections, you work on them and make them kind of unique. And I'll show you exactly, again, how to do that. LinkedIn is designed to be more of a 360 look at you than your resume ever will be. A resume is still a resume, but LinkedIn is an entirely different animal. It was designed that way. It shows a lot more of you, and it has a totally different sort of tone to it and everything. At its best, this is what your LinkedIn should be doing for you. It should showcase your value or your brand. In other words, what makes you you. And when I talk, I should say, when I'm talking about your value, your skills are important. Your education is important. Your experience is important. All these things are important, but you use all of those to add value to a company. That's what they're investing in. They're not investing in your skills. They're investing in what those skills can do for them. So if you've got programming skills in Python and Java and this and that, and those are your programming skills as an example, they're not paying for your skills. They're paying for what those skills will give them. Maybe you're developing internal software that's going to streamline processes in this area and help them make money in that area. That's your value to the company. So it's understanding, here's how I can help. Here's what I can help you do. Here's what my skills and experience are going to enable you to be able to do. And it's understanding how to do that. Your LinkedIn profile should distinguish you. If you remember all those flamingos, you got to stand out from them. You can't look like just your generic third-year computer science major or generic, computer science grad. You've got to look like something special. And it should resonate with your target audience. And when I say resonate with your target audience, I mean, you're not just putting something in a LinkedIn profile and sending it out blanket to the entire world. You're not writing it for the accounting industry necessarily, probably not, or the human resources for a human resources role. You're looking for a particular type of job, and there are specific things they're looking for. And the recruiters or hiring managers or HR people or whomever who are looking to hire people like you, that's your target audience. And if you know what they're looking for, and the easiest thing is look at postings for the kind of roles you want to move into, for the kind of work you want to do, that's giving you a clue of what your target audience is looking for. And if they're looking for these 5 things and you have all 5 of them, then that's what you should be selling. That's what you should be talking about. And the number of people, again, I see that they know that their target audience is looking for these 5 things, and they talk about other stuff. And it doesn't make any sense. There's no match. So you really do need to kind of think, what are they looking for that I have? And where you can marry those, that's the content that you really need to do. And then you got to make it interesting, complete, compelling, and interesting. And here's the interesting thing. There are over 600 million LinkedIn profiles right now. Most of them are awful. We hear this from recruiters all the time. They say easily 80% of LinkedIn profiles and resumes, to be honest with you, are terrible. And they sift through these things daily. That's their job. There's maybe 15%, 18% above that are actually pretty good. They're well thought out. They're actually a little more content. They're more complete, but they're still eh. And then there's that really rare 2 or 3% that are well thought out, well written, well put together, and they do the job. They're selling what they're supposed to sell to the people who are buying it. And that's where I want you to be, in that top 2 to 3%. So here's what you need. Before I even get into the different sections of LinkedIn, here's what you need to do. And I'm going to leave you to do this on your own, but you need to do a little bit of investigating. One of them is, you need to know who you are. Now, I don't mean just a rough idea in your head. I mean, who are you at your absolute best? Because that's the version of you want to sell. All of you, no matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, it doesn't matter. There is a version of you that does exceptional work, that has knocked it out of the park, that has been phenomenal, that is the most dynamic, most vivacious, most personable, most professional, most knowledgeable, most focused, whatever. Who are you when you're at your absolute best? And put words to it, because that's the version of you got to start selling. Know what your target audience wants. What do they need that you have? And these could be personal qualities you have, experience you've got, skills you've got, knowledge you have or have acquired, abilities you've got, could be anything. But what do they need or want that you have, and write those down. Know your achievements, whether it's at school, some special project or some initiative that you've worked on at school that's noteworthy, in any co-op or internship or any work that you've had. Where have you added value? Where have you, in other words, done great work? That's what an achievement is. I did X and it was really good work, and be able to talk about that. Maybe you've got a really great story, and LinkedIn is a place you can't really tell that on a resume, but on LinkedIn, you can. And LinkedIn is a really, really, again, it's designed in a very unique way so that you may have a fantastic story that tells, you may have these skills and this education and this experience, but maybe you've got something really unique in your background. That's a really fascinating story that helps make you stand out. And I'll show you how you can do that. And then obviously you've got to be able to communicate it effectively. And what I want the tone of your communications to be is you want to be confident. You want to be interesting and interested in the role, but also interesting. And here's a little tip. And I do this when I'm doing these virtual things. I'm going to lean in and whisper. You could have all the skills in the world. And this is just, again, I've been doing this my entire career. So at this stage of your career, here's a tip that is really valuable. You could have all the skills in the world. You could have the highest, best education in the world. You could have amazing experience. But if they don't like you, they're not hiring you. They want to work with someone that fits in, that works with their team, that they're going to enjoy working with. So that likability, believe it or not, I tell people this when I'm coaching them on interviewing skills. How about smiling? That's a first great step in getting someone to like you. Have a photo in your LinkedIn of you smiling, not looking like a serial killer. Like make it actually be likable. It's a huge, huge piece of this. So when it comes to defining your value, again, here's some questions to consider for yourself. Think strategically, okay? I don't want you to think structurally necessarily when you're just putting your profile together. I want you to think strategically. Who is your target market? Who's hiring people like you? For what kind of roles? What do they need that you have? So that's thinking strategically. What is your competitive advantage? Is there anything you bring that others might not? Maybe you have an extra skill, an extra certification, some extra experience that's kind of unique. Maybe you just have a unique ability to do something that others might not have, or a unique approach to it. What makes you stand out? What are those top skills, expertise, attributes, knowledge that qualify you for this job or for that type of work? How and where have you specifically helped other companies or organizations or something like that? Where have you done that kind of work? Here's a question I ask all the way up to the CEO. When are you at your best? What are those circumstances in which you absolutely thrive? When do you do your best work? And if there are circumstances in which you thrive and do your best work, why not come out and tell them? Because then a company that could put you in that position, that has that kind of environment, they would love you because you're going to thrive there. So little things like this, these really help you define your value and understand the kind of things that you can put in here. Now let's break it down. So that's your homework to sort of understand, okay, that's the content I need to make certain I'm getting in there. And again, you're not just plunking stuff down. I want you to be specific. And every word in there is a purpose because it's meant to tell something to a very specific audience that you have this, this, and this, and you stand out and distinguish yourself in this way, this way, and this way. There should be a requests, that sort of thing. They see your name, your photo, and a headline under your name. Those three things are really important. When it comes to your photo, again, this is something that LinkedIn does, your resume still will not do. So this is something, again, you get a chance to sort of showcase, that fantastic, brilliant, smiling face of yours. But what goes into a great photo? Because you and I both know, you've seen some LinkedIn photos that, let's be perfectly honest, I kind of joke, some of them look like serial killers. They're really just scary looking photos. You don't want to be one of those. You don't want to have the photo that other people cringe at, including recruiters. You want a great photo. So qualities that go into a great photo, first off, and you need a photo. I know some of you may be a little nervous putting a photo up there. because it's a public platform, or you have a photo, but you've set the settings so that only people in your network see your photo, that's a mistake. If you want your profile, your expertise to be seen by the public who could hire you, then you got to make it public to everybody, and you need a great photo up there. It's a headshot or maybe head and shoulders at most, and it's recent, and it should have sort of a professional tone to it. You should look somewhat professional, or at least suit your industry. Like if you're working for a bank, it should probably be, or looking to work for a bank, it should probably be a little more on the professional side. If you want to work for a young startup where everyone's 23 years old and they wear jeans and hoodies all day, then maybe just look at a little better than that. If you wore like a three-piece suit to that audience, you might look like you don't fit in. But you want a really good photo. And please smile. Look at the camera and smile. And you don't need to have a professional one. But let me just sort of walk you through what I mean. And these are all clients of mine who were kind enough to let me share their photo. So this is what you don't want to do on your photo, and you've seen these. Now, that woman, who's a client, was the director of marketing for a very big company. It's a lovely photo of her. Does she look like the director of marketing for a very large company? No, she does not. It's just the wrong photo for a professional platform like LinkedIn. So it's great for something like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, but it's not great for LinkedIn. It's just a wrong tone to it. And it's more of the fountain than it is of her. There's one of our serial killers. Now here's a guy that was in an MBA program that I spoke to in the States. And he was actually hysterically funny, super nice guy. But look at the photo he chose. Like that's like a driver's license or a passport photo. It's just, no, we want to smile, okay? We want something personable and professional. Please, no cropped photos. Please, I beg of you, no cropped photos. I know for this woman that she thinks her hair looked perfect that night. Her lipstick was on point. She's got the perfect smile, but that's like a New Year's Eve nightclub kind of thing where she cropped the photo. It's overexposed. There's a phantom arm around her neck. It's just, again, you want to look professional. This is not the way to do it. And then every so often, I see a photo that's just so bizarre, I don't even know what to do with it. And this is a guy, I had to enlarge it to get it that big, and it's out of focus. And it's him crouching next to a tiger. And I have no idea why he is. He's not in any circus or tiger related industries. It makes no sense whatsoever. So none of those photos are really great for LinkedIn. Now, on the other hand, these are much better. Now, that's not a professionally taken photo, but that, believe it or not, was a woman who was a director of finance at a company. She used that photo all the way up to become CFO at the company. And it was actually during one of my talks on LinkedIn years ago, 6-7 years ago. And she was in the program. She went during the break, she went out into the hall, stood near a bright window, and had a classmate take that photo. And it's just a great smiling headshot. And she kept it on her profile for years and years and years. Here's another one. This was an MBA student out in California. And he wanted to work for an agency, for like a marketing kind of a promotional agency. So he didn't wear the full suit and tie. He kind of dressed it down again, kind of like me, with just sort of the open collar. That's actually in the atrium of the business school where he goes. And it's just, again, great smiling photo. The previous photo we had looked kind of like the serial killer above him. It was just a frowning, miserable sort of student photo. It was wrong. There's another one taken in the atrium of a photo. It's the atrium of a business school or somewhere, in the school on the campus. That's kind of a 3/4, head and shoulder shot. But again, a smile, a great looking professional kind of photo. You could even have it done outside if you want. There's no better lighting in the world than a sunny day. So you don't need to have it professionally done, but can you see the difference between the bottom level, the lower level and the top level? It's day and night. This is how you want to appear professionally to someone who might want to hire you. You want it to look as polished and professional as you would in an interview, as your resume looks, your whole image. You want to be as polished and professional as possible. And you'll notice they're all smiling. And here's a little tip. They're all smiling with teeth. It's not a smirk. It's an actual smile. So that's your photo. I'd encourage you to get a really good one. Now, there's also a spot for a background photo on LinkedIn. And this is the default, which many people have. Many people still have. And it's awful. And it instantly says to someone, I put zero effort into my profile. I had no idea what to put here, so I put nothing. So many times I get the question, how do I find a photo? What's a good photo? What do you put back there? Again, this is not Instagram, it's not Facebook, this is not that kind of social media, it's a professional setting. So it's really, really simple. You literally Google LinkedIn background photo, click on images, and look what comes up. They even categorize them for you. And if you wanted to say, for example, you could put LinkedIn background photo technology, and you'll get all sorts of things. And they're fitted to the right size, and you can use something like that. And when in a pinch, if you can't find something that's got a suitable sort of industry related tone to it, you could always do, if you look in the lower right there, you could always use, a cityscape for where you work or where you live. And I've done that before. I've had clients in very bizarre, very unique, very niche kind of industries, but they live in Chicago or in Montreal, and I'll get a cityscape of Chicago or Montreal, and I'll put that down, and it makes sense. So again, really good photo of you, put up something dynamic, ideally something that sort of suggests a little bit of kind of who you are or what industry you're in. I've seen people who have pictures of themselves speaking at big events, and they put that up there. That's not a bad idea too. There's all sorts of different things you could do, but put something interesting up there. Now, that's the easy stuff. The photos shouldn't take long. And then there's a headline under your name. Now, there's mine. That's the headline I'm talking about. It's a little section right underneath your name. And this travels with you as you connect with people, as you meet people, and so forth, as you send in mails and whatever through LinkedIn. Your name, your photo, and this headline travels with you. So if you were sending a connection to me, and if you want to, please feel free, this headline has to say something. And they give you now, it used to be 120 characters. So mine is around 120 characters right now, but they give you up to 220. And you want to say something in this. You could, for example, and I see this all the time, it could be, computer science major at Wilfrid Laurier University, which is about 30 characters. It's 100% accurate, but I still don't know anything about you, and there's nothing in that really wows me. So what you could do is say a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more, where you're trying to go, what you've got, what you're good at. Impress me on some level. So it could be, now personally, again, they give you 220 characters. I think a really great number is around 160-ish, like 3 lines. If you do all 220 characters, it actually goes, it looks like a paragraph, and it's no longer a quick kind of snappy brand statement. So I kind of like something that's about 3 lines. So it could be something like this. Focus, systems analysis, project management, data mining and analytics, UAT, fluent English and French. I put these little vertical lines to separate, but you could put anything there if you want. Fluent English, French, BS Computer Science, candidate, Wilfrid Laurier. Look how much you've learned about the person. Now I see what this person focuses on. I see where their focus is, what they specialize in, or where they're really good. I now know that they're bilingual, and if that's important, then why not put it right up here in the headline? And that they're currently at Laurier completing, this degree. Or you could do this. Laurier Computer Science major, data analytics, programming, design, 2 data analyst internships at CIBC, VP Laurier Computing Society. Or 3rd year computer science major seeking internship, strong programming, Python, VBA, Java, and data mining and data analysis mining, president and founder of the Hudson Hackathons, or I just made that up. But you get the idea. Each one of these in different ways says a lot. So you can use like a vertical slash, a forward slash. You could just use periods between these, dashes. I've got little bullets in there, like the little diamond. You could find something else that might be of interest, but put something down there that actually tells me something about you. What would you want someone to know in, like 160, 170 characters? What would say something? What's going to make you stand out? What would make you tell me what you kind of specialize in? Again, I get this all the time when people want to connect with me, and They don't put in, they send a connection request. Their headline, I don't recognize the face. I don't recognize the name. Their headline says nothing, so there's nothing there of interest for me. And they don't include any kind of a message. Why would I connect with this person? This is basically a total stranger who's told me nothing. I'm too busy. You have to assume someone is too busy to automatically just go to their profile and learn everything about you. That doesn't make any sense at all. So try to put something in your headline that actually says something, okay? Now, after that, and this is the section that scares everybody, is the about section. So it used to be called the summary, now it's called about, but it's basically a summary section. And they give you 2,600 characters to say something. Most people either leave it blank or they put in a tiny little paragraph, possibly that is a copy and paste from a tiny little paragraph or a few sentences at the top of a resume. I want you to do something far more than that. And LinkedIn is designed to do more than that. So you want to do something better than that, okay? So in this section, here's how I want you to write it. I'm going to show you 3 samples. First off, make it personal and make it conversational. On your resume, you never use the word I. You just don't. It's still considered sort of a golden rule of resume writing. But on LinkedIn, I want you to use the word I. I want you to actually make it conversational. Still professional, but conversational. You want to sound distinct. You want to tell me something interesting. Please try to avoid cliches. If you use the phrase strong team player with outstanding oral and written communication skills, I'm going to hunt you down and find you, because that is a really, really boring cliche that everybody uses. And I always find it funny that people use a cliche about communication skills. If your communication skills are that good, you're not speaking in cliches. In this section, instead of putting enormous paragraphs, I want you to do short little bursts of information, short little chunks of information. You want to pack it with searchable skills and keywords, okay? Just pack it with the kind of skills that you want to be known for. Remember, you did your research into what your target audience is looking for. So introduce yourself, tell them what you can do, how you can help, where you're strong, why you love it. Make it interesting. Give them a reason to be impressed when they read this. So here's what I want you to do in terms of the structure and what you can do with it. First off, the opening, you want to impress them and grab their attention with the opening. If I go to your profile right now, I will only see the first few lines, and then I have to click on a button to read more. So you want those few lines to say something. You want to grab their attention here. So it could be something like, I'm a senior developer, creative problem solver, and I'm fascinated with IoT and machine learning. So if you're in that field or targeting that field, that's a great opening. Or you could say a little bit more. My expertise is mining and analyzing big data and helping companies make smart business decisions. I'm completing a BS in computer science and have recently completed an internship as a senior database analyst at ABC Industrial. Great opening. And then you can go into a little bit more detail. After that, the remaining content, you could include any number of these. It could be some sort of brief summary of work you've done or your academic career or whatever. Your co-ops, internships you've had, or what specifically you're targeting, you can include that. What you love about this field, where you thrive, what you're known for, and you can literally say, I thrive, in high pressure environments. I'm at my best when I'm dealing with massive amounts of data. Whatever it happens, you can actually say that. What you're known for, what your style is. Any personal attributes, in other words, when you are at your best. Your story, if you have an interesting story. And I'm not saying you have to have all of these, it's just pick and choose and making them relevant to your audience. Maybe something volunteer or something personal or something that distinguishes you and makes you stand out. So let me show you how you can build these. Now, again, I recognize that not everybody loves writing. And for many of you, the very prospect, the very idea of trying to write something this comprehensive, when you've got 2,600 blank characters to fill, I know that some of you hate writing enough that that's really intimidating. I'm going to show you different ways you can do this. So here's one way of doing it. Hey,
Ross, sorry to interrupt. You're doing absolutely amazing. Yes, we're going to go have a 2-minute break and we'll be back on the stream. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so remember I said, let me just go back. These are the sort of things that go into that about section. Now, again, start with something really strong. Start with something that grabs my attention, something that qualifies you right out of the gate so that I am, if I'm a recruiter, compelled to click on learn more. And then you tell me more to distinguish yourself. So here, let me just give you one way of doing it. So here's one. Now, these are not all computer science, but they give you the idea. I'm a recent marketing business administration graduate from Ryerson, and I've been hired as a summer marketing intern at TD Bank, where I'm working on digital and social media campaigns to promote TD personal and commercial products. So look what you've learned in that opening line. I'm a graduate in marketing and business administration from Ryerson, currently working in marketing at TD Bank, where they're working on this and this. Look what you've learned in just that one sentence. That's going to grab me. If I'm looking for someone like this, that's going to grab me and I'm going to go on and learn more. Then you skip a line. Remember I said short little chunks of information, not giant paragraphs. Next one, we go into a little bit of the specific skills. Working at TD as a marketing intern is the perfect opportunity to build on my passion for, and this is the way we sneak in some specific marketing skills. Creative marketing, advertising, media, social media, messaging, and design, that kind of thing. Then you skip a line. Give me an example from what you've done at TD. So you might have a specific example from a co-op or an internship or some work experience you have, and you can get into something specific, then skip a line. Then a little bit more about you. One thing about me is I love a challenge, the bigger the better. Do you see how conversational this is? But look at what you're learning. I've been told I have an ability to be deeply analytical while also creative. And above all else, I work hard. And then when I'm not working on this, I also attend events at the Canadian Marketing Association and I read up on the latest trends in the industry. I'd love to connect with you, so send me an invite or email me at, and you can say that. So basically, if you think about it, this person said, I have like 5 things I want to talk about. A strong opening. Here's what I'm basically doing that gets some skills listed in there. Here's an example of something I was working on as part of my internship. Something about me, what I do when I'm not working or studying. And that's what they just dedicated a tiny little chunk to each one. And look what you've learned about this person, but look how much you've learned about what she can do. So it wasn't just high level, bland, generic nonsense. This person went specific and said, you want to know about me? I'll tell you about me and what I'm doing and what I can do. Now, to some of you, again, 2,600 characters is intimidating. So here's another way you could structure it. You can't do bolding and all sorts of font changes and really fancy stuff on LinkedIn. It doesn't allow you. But if you just use all caps, all of a sudden you've got headings. So again, look at this. Opening line. My expertise is mining and analyzing big data and helping companies make smart business decisions. I have a BSc in quantitative analysis and have recently been hired by TD Direct Investing as a senior database analyst. Remember I said, what is your value? It's more than just your skills. It's more than just your education. It's what can you actually do for me? Here's what I do. That's a heading. Create powerful tools, models, systems, KPIs, and metrics that support financial decision-making and reduce risk. Contribute. So you can include bullets in here and say, here's what I know I can do for your company. Here's what I'm really strong at, or whatever you want to call your heading. In this case, provide market valuation, profitability analysis, cost accounting systems, formulate risk management strategies, perform data analysis and data mining, analyze large complex data sets and metadata for forecasting. This person's not just saying, I have skills, and then listing a bunch of skills, which sound like everybody else. This person's saying, here's how I can apply those skills and look what I can do for your company. And then she has an interesting story. I've lived and studied in 4 countries around the world, China, Singapore, Australia, and the US. These experiences have enriched my life and also helped me learn to be adaptable and quickly fit in. After completing my bachelor's, I knew I wanted to work for a leader in financial services. My role as a senior database analyst at TD has offered me that opportunity, and I've since been able to work on this, this, and this. A little bit more about me. I'm highly analytical, detail-oriented, thorough. See, we're getting some of those qualities in there. I work best with large, complex amounts of data. I love a challenge, how to contact me. So you could create headings. You could say, okay, I've got to have a strong opening because Ross told me I need a strong opening. Then you could have a heading that says, my degree at Laurier, : and then tell me some of the things you're doing. you know, my volunteer work, or, you know, how I'm contributing. And you could include, maybe you hold a job, you know, with this, you know, society, with the computing society. Tell me what you do there. You could have another one that says my co-op experience, and tell me what you've done there, but be specific. Give me, like, again, they give you 2,600 characters. Here's a little tip about LinkedIn. Wherever they give you a ton of characters, they actually expect a fair amount of content, because it's a very searchable area in LinkedIn. Okay, you're this section. So you really do want to get some content in there. Do you need 2,600 characters? In my opinion, no. I do this for CEOs with 30 years experience, and I keep it about 2,000 maximum. You could probably get away with 12 to 1,500 characters and say a ton, but most people have just a tiny little paragraph of maybe 4 lines that could be anybody. It's so generic, it's so bland, it's so plain. I want to know about you. Talk to me. Tell me what you can do. And again, think about your hiring on your audience. What do they want to know about you? What do you want to tell them? This is your chance to say something. So really put something together. Here's another example. I just get a kick out of this. This is a senior executive who just happens to work in technology for a major music company. And he's in technology. He's like a CTO. When I was 16, I started a fan website for the band REM. The rest of my career extends from there. And then skip a line. I'm a former academic, a former newspaper online editor, and a present-day technological executive and innovator. For the past 20 years, I've been operating at the forefront of old media's emergence into the new, blah, 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 blah. I lead digital transformations with an eye towards building long-lasting cultures and products. I am a geek in every sense: music, media companies, technology. I enjoy being labeled as such. I lead and manage geeks the way they want to be led. I design projects. Sometimes I program. I like music too much. Specialties, and then he lists some of the areas like digital transformation, system design, architectures, product management, engineering management. And then he says, I've got experience with this. I not only understand technology, but the why, the when, the how of you apply a technology. And then he tells us a little bit about some of his work and media stuff. This guy is like the chief technology officer for $1 billion music company. And look how he wrote it. But it's interesting. And you learn a ton about him. So please take this section and actually put something down of interest. Really build something interesting. And if you just don't feel comfortable building it freeform like this, just think, what are the 3-4 things I want to talk about? Give each one a heading, and then boom, fill in the blanks, and you've got a decent section in here. But please don't think that 3 lines is going to impress anybody. You've got to build something in here, and LinkedIn give you the space for it. They expect to see it. In the experience section, I'll just cover this quickly. Remember I said there's one place that if you have really great content in your resume, I'm okay if you copy and paste it here. But it's got to be great content in your resume. That's a whole other webinar on resume writing. But this is the only place I'm okay if you copy and paste. You've got great, great, great content in your resume. You can copy and paste it here. You can also add, if you belong to clubs, if you have roles like you're the VP of whatever with this organization at Laurier, you can add it in here as experience, even though it may not be a paid role. You can add it in here because it actually makes this section look really substantial. But tell me what you're actually doing in that role or what you've done. And let's say, for example, you do have work experience and maybe the company nobody knows about, or maybe even the position they gave you doesn't describe what you did. Here's a little tip. They give you 100 characters for even your job title. So with me, my company, I'm the president of the company, but I'm a resume writer, a LinkedIn profile writer, a speaker, a brand expert. These are the things I'm known for. I'm not known as president to anybody. So on mine, I put President Career Quest, executive resume writer, LinkedIn profile writer, and international speaker. That's my job title because it gives me 100 characters. So I'm going to say something a little bit more accurate. So you could put, intern, generic intern title, and then put a dash, and then, special, focus on this, this, and this. Say something. So you could. You don't have to, but I'm saying you could. Skills and endorsements. This is the section that you will learn to hate. Everybody hates this section because here's the reality. There's a bit of a problem with integrity with this section because I have literally been endorsed for skills I did not know I had by people I have never met. That's kind of weird. So you do want to put the skills down. They give you up to 50, and then you get endorsements for them from people. So by all means, try to get endorsements from people in your classes and people from your work or wherever. And LinkedIn will automatically give you a top 3 based on how many endorsements you have. But you can unselect those and put your top 3 down that you want to be known for. But make certain they give you up to 50. You probably don't need 50 at this stage of your career, but I'm sure you can come up with 20. Don't have 3. Okay, get a decent number down there. Everything in terms of the specific languages you know, the protocols you know, the operating systems you can work within, what you can specifically do. Again, take a look at job postings for the kind of jobs you want to do. Look at what they're requiring, and if you've got them, you've got those skills, get them in the skills section. And everything you can also put in, you'll notice things like leadership, communications. They don't have to be hard technical skills. They can be softer skills, but they're still skills, and get endorsed for them. So again, build this section up and get the right skills you want to really be known for, and get some endorsements for them. Education, obviously include it, but be certain if you are, even though I know in the experience section, I said, if you are a member of this society or that club or whatever, get it in that section. Perfect, do it, but add them in here as well. Feel free to fill in. This one is Texas Christian TCU down in Texas. But you'll notice there's a section for activities and societies. You can list them all there, but maybe there's also a section called description. And you can actually describe things in there, and it gives you quite a lot of room, and you can even put bullets in. Maybe there's specific projects you've worked on you want to list. Maybe there's something else you want to add. Maybe you were part of a, member of you're on the rugby team or something. You want to add that in here. I mean, there's any number of different things you could add, but feel free to try to, fill in that education section. Other sections, you're going to fill in as is relevant. It's going to be different for everybody. So there's licenses and certifications. If you have other certifications, courses you may have taken. Do you list every course you've ever taken? Maybe not, but the relevant ones, why not? Volunteer experience. If you volunteer, add it in there and treat it like the professional experience section. Tell me what you did. Maybe you want to add a whole section of projects if you have that many. Honors and awards, if you've got them. Languages, if you've got them. Here's a little tip. If the only language, I'm whispering again, if the only language you've got is English, don't need to fill this in. I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of obvious. It always just drives me nuts when I see under languages, English. Well, yeah, because it's in English. Anyway, pet peeve. Organizations you belong to, anything else you want to fill in these sections as is relevant, okay? I'm coming down to the end, and then I want to sort of make certain we leave some time for some questions, some tools and tips. Customize your URL. So if you look up in the bar at the top of your browser, you'll notice on your profile, LinkedIn has given you a specific URL, and it usually has a whole bunch of numbers at the end of it. If you go up into the right-hand side of your profile, you'll see where you can customize your URL. And it says click edit public profile and URL, and you can personalize it with your name. So now if you have a really common name and it's already taken, you can always put your degree letters after it or a middle initial or something like that. But you can customize it. Then it just looks that much neater. You could include that on a business card. You could include it at the top of your resume. It looks more polished. You could put it in a signature line in emails. When you're talking to possible employers, it just looks that much more polished and professional. By all means, as long as you're at Laurier, connect with alumni. Use LinkedIn to find some alumni who are doing exactly what you're doing, who graduated from the same program. They may even work in the jobs you want at the companies you want to work for. All you do is go to the school's LinkedIn page, you click on alumni and do a search. And this one, I just put this image on today. There's 85,000 alumni on LinkedIn. Go find someone and then connect with them and see if they've got some tips for you. Customize the message. You're not contacting them to say, hi, I'm graduating from the same program at Laurier. Do you have a job for me? Please don't say that. That's really just really bad etiquette. What you want to do is try to get a conversation going, ask them how they got into it. Any tips to get into the industry? Say they're in financial services and you want to get in. Is there anyone that you think I should speak to? Just try to get a conversation going. And now you've got someone in your network who's doing exactly what you want to do at exactly where you want to do it. That's a valuable connection to have. It's not just your friend who sits next to you in your third year class. This is actually someone doing, this is a really great contact to have. So feel free to connect with alumni. The other thing about LinkedIn is you've got a profile, and now we've gone through it. You've built yourself a fantastic profile, but that's only half of LinkedIn. The other half is getting out there, getting visible, and using LinkedIn to connect with people and broadcast who you are. So there is an update status on your homepage. Put something down. It goes out to all of your connections. You know, share a document, include a photo, stay in touch, build community. You'll see, you can start a post, put a photo down, a video, an event, write an article. And it doesn't have to be an academic paper of 10 pages. It can be just 3, 4, 5, 6 little paragraphs of something interesting. And again, it just gets a little bit of notoriety. And I've known people who have written little articles, given them kind of, I hate to use the word, but you know what I mean, given them kind of a sexy title to grab attention. And I had one person, I spoke to a group at one of the major banks, and I told them this, and he ran sort of a volunteer program through the bank. It was actually Bank of Montreal, BMO. And he ran a volunteer, like a sort of a charitable thing through BMO. And he wanted to generate more activity and more interest in it. And he wrote a really clever article talking about it. And he had a really great title to it. He contacted me 2 weeks later and he said, Ross, I have 15,000 hits on this. He said, it's gone completely viral. Everybody knows me. Everyone wants to connect with me. That's what LinkedIn can do. So you've built a great profile. Now get it out there. And if you really want to know how to do this, you can also write an article, something relevant to your either industry or goal, maybe a personal experience at Laurier, or maybe a personal experience at an internship. There's a really good course that LinkedIn provided. You just go up to LinkedIn Learning, those little 9 squares up in the top right, and look for this one, Publishing on LinkedIn for College Students and Young Professionals. And it's a really clever article, gives you a couple of really good ideas because you've built this great profile. Now get your fantastic profile and who you are out into your target audience. That's the next step in this. Some final thoughts, and then I just want to run through a couple quick things. Some final thoughts on this, because I know I've gone through this at the speed of sound. Everything that I've said, you get the idea that you just don't plunk stuff down. I want you to take a very deliberate and very strategic approach to this. Showcase your skills, what makes you unique, tell me what you're after, what you're going after, and try to be specific. Try not to be general. Even if you said, I'm looking for this, this, or this, that's okay too. Show where you fit in, what you can do, how you can help. Consider who you're trying to attract, that's your audience, and write to them. What do they need to know? If they wanted to hire me for this kind of a role, a database analyst, then what are they looking for in database analysts? Okay, and I'm going to write to that audience, to what they're looking for. And if you can, you put yourself in that small percentage, that top 5% of great profiles, and I promise you, opportunities and connections will start coming your way. So I have a couple minutes left. I do want to very quickly, let's just pull something up here. Okay, so here we have one of our volunteers. Now let's just quickly look at Nusher's profile. And thank you for volunteering, by the way. So great photo. I like the background photo. It's relevant. President of Laurier Computing Society, Director of Systems Admin.
You're not sharing your screen. Sorry about that.
Oh, it didn't
change to the LinkedIn.
Oh, did it? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for telling me. Here, I'll stop the share, and then I'll do it again. Sorry about that. Okay, now can you see it?
Perfect. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So, I love the headline under it. Actually says something. You could probably put a little bit more in there, but that's like 2.5 lines. That's great. In the about section, not bad at all. I've been programming since I was 8 years old, but right now I'm a full-time university and full stack developer. I study, computer science and applied maths at Laurier. Skip a line. I like the format. It's personable. It's short little chunks. You talk about, I start off programming in this. My main philosophy is trying to do this. Other than that, my main interests are, by the way, there's a typo there, that capital M, my main interest, you got to fix that. I personally think there's even more detail you could tell me in terms of what you can do now. You've told me you have a really kind of interesting, I started doing this at 8. I started, a freelance career at the age of 10. That's really cool, but I want to know specifically what you can do for me now. And if you're looking to be hired now or very soon, start telling me what you can do for me now. I think that would just make this sound that much better. Under experience, you've got the Laurier Computing Society, which is great. Maybe add a little bit more detail under. You've told me a little bit. Under VP of Technology, what did you specifically do? So again, you could add a little bit more detail in here. Maybe a little bit more. You could add those roles under education as well if you wanted to. Volunteering, great. But again, and you've got a whole bunch of others as well. You've got 42 skills listed, which is great. I think and you've got some courses in here. So you've got a fairly full profile, which is really good. I just think in that about section, you could tell me more about what you can specifically do. Here's another one. Again, Wealth Ops Analyst at TD, Co-President at Laurier Computing Society, all good. Again, you've got room to say even more if you wanted to. In the about section, you don't need, just between you and me, you don't need to say, hey, welcome to my LinkedIn page. I'm already on it. So it's nice to say it, but it's maybe a little too casual. You don't need to say what your name is. I already saw it at the top. I would just jump in. I'm a third-year CS student with a business minor at Laurier. You've said through my current and past experiences, such as projects, hackathons, and classes, I have knowledge in Python, Java, C, and more. Just scroll down. Instead of scrolling, tell me about them and tell me what you can do and where you want to go and what you want to do and why you love it and anything else that might be of interest. So again, fill this section in a little bit more. You're saying I'm looking for co-op and internship opportunities for spring 2022, but in what? Doing what? For whom? Have you narrowed that down? Where do you think you really could add value? What are you really good at? What makes you stand out? You saw all the kind of content you can put in. Under your experience, I'd add detail, get some content in there. They give you like 2,000 characters per job. LinkedIn expects to see some content. And if you want, here's the other thing, the content under each job is among the most searchable content in LinkedIn. So in other words, if a recruiter is looking for profiles and looking for people like you that have this skill, can do this, can do this, can do this, they put that criteria in their search as a recruiter. And LinkedIn, the algorithm looks in the experience section. So you need good content there if you want to come up as a match. So get some good content in there. Again, not bad. You've got activities and societies under your education. You've only got, it looks like 14 skills. You could probably, I'm sure, add a little bit more. But again, it's starting to come together. It's more about that about section. That's probably all the time I want to spend on the profiles. I mean, you guys are on the right track. I think it just could be that much stronger. And I'm going to be honest, chances are there's a hesitation to really put yourself out there. And it's not bragging. I'm not asking you to brag. But if you are good at something and you can do this for a company and do that for a company, and you'd like to do something like this, then just tell me. Because believe it or not, if you're really clear with what you can do, what you're good at, where you want to go, what you want to do, and all that, if I'm a recruiter at a company, you're actually making it really easy for me to pick you. And that's what you want. This is good, but it could be better still. So I'm going to ask, I know we have a couple minutes left because we started a few minutes after, but are there any questions? Anyone got anything burning or anyone put anything in a chat that we have time to quickly address?
Yeah, for sure. We'll have one question. So okay. What's some of the ways that we can start a conversation with recruiters on LinkedIn?
I'm going to be blunt with you. Starting conversations with recruiters is tough. Recruiters are incredibly busy people. they tend not to have conversations. I'm going to be blunt with you. They will look for someone like you. To them, you are a commodity, a resource. And if they need someone like you, they will reach out and connect to you. But that said, here's a couple tips. If there are recruiters, HR people who hire into the kind of roles that you want, if you find these people on LinkedIn or whatever, follow them, see if you can connect with them, and send a little message if you send a connection request. And then you're in their thing. And if they have an opening, they may post it in their status on their page, and then you get it. Here's another thing, follow them in other social media. So if you find it, let's say, for example, you find a recruiter named Jason Kim, and he's a recruiter with such and such a company, and he hires and looks for people like you. Find out if he has like a Twitter account. This has nothing to do with LinkedIn. I'm giving you another tip. Follow him on Twitter, because he may post something on Twitter. He may put a quick tweet out there saying, hey, I'm looking for a database analyst for a financial services company. Hit me if you know someone like that. And if you see that, you can go, hey, I'll send you my resume, and or here's my LinkedIn profile, and you can do it quickly. I've known people who have been the first to apply, because it's faster doing it that way than them posting a role on LinkedIn and you applying, and that costs a ton of money as well. Just a really quick little thing. That's, believe it or not, that's how the company Uber started. The guy one guy tweeted out, I'm looking for someone who's really good at this, and this for a location-based company, big equity involved. Hit me if you know anyone. And a guy contacted him, said, I'm your guy. And the two of them started Uber together, and they're billionaires now. And it started from a tweet. So if you follow the right people, and recruiters are one of them, follow them. That's the easiest way. If you do want to connect with them, send them a message and say, hi, I'm currently completing my degree at Laurier. Looking for roles like this. I'd love to get on your radar. And that's it. But honestly, having a conversation, they're a tough bunch to get a conversation with. These are insanely busy people. And it's a tough thing to do to actually start a conversation, but at least get in their inbox, get on their radar. That you can do.
Right, perfect. And then we have one last question, actually.
Yeah.
And that's, are professionally taking graduation pictures good for your LinkedIn profile?
Okay. Can it work? Yes. I mean, if you're wearing full cap and gown kind of thing, it's not bad. It says you graduated. That's good. Personally, though, here's what I like to think of. Here's how I think all of your marketing in your career should be. Your resume, your LinkedIn, and everything. It's the word aspirational. It should be about where you want to go next. It should present you as where you're going, a perfect thing. So if you put yourself out there with a photo of you as a graduate, people are going to see you as a graduate, as opposed to seeing you in the role you want to be. But if you show me you standing in a professional setting, wearing a professional attire, I see you in a business role. Do you see the difference? One picture says, picture me working for your company. The other one says, I'm a graduate. I would aim for probably the more professional shot. I've seen them. I'm just not a big fan. Like, how long do you want to be known as a graduate? You want to be known now as a professional who can do the job, not as someone wearing a cap and gown. That was yesterday. Present yourself as, I'm now in the job market, a professional. And that's probably a much better impression, I think.
Right. Yeah, perfect. All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so we'll just wrap things up here. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for coming out today. We learned so much valuable information, and the chat really loved you. They were like sending all the different emojis and everything.
Okay,
and
good.
For all our viewers, don't forget to come out to the LCS networking event this Friday and sign in using the link in the chat so that you can add it to your Laurier experience record. And other than that, thank you so much.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye now.